All right, we're on the air. We're live, guys. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, and my coffee isn't even kicking in, but I'm sure in the hell going to act like my coffee is kicking in. All right, I'm on my first cup. Um, what I'd like to go over is interviews and new team member orientation, training, whatever you want to call it. I added some things to our interview checklist that I emailed out to you guys either yesterday or it was yesterday I emailed it out. I added some additional interview questions. The main thing is we first want to make sure the person we're interviewing knows who we are and what we do. This is important because it lets us know if they've actually done any background on the position they're applying for, or if they're just sending resumes to everybody who has an ad out. Because some people do this. I call them compulsive applicants. Because and that's what some people do to get a job. A little bit about what I do to get a job. At times when I was in the job market, I figured out where I wanted to work and whether they were hiring, not hiring, whatever the case was. I went to that company. Of course, I submitted my resume, and I went to that company with resume in hand and talked to whoever the hiring manager was in person. Now, I've tried this approach, and I've tried the compulsive applicant approach. And what worked for me when applying for jobs was actually going in and selling myself to somebody. When you know how I got my job as a chef? I put my chef pants on, I put my chef coat on, put my skull wrap on, and I went down to the French Quarter. Had a stack of my resumes, and I went and pitched the restaurants I wanted to work at. And it took me one day to find a job. Now, a lot of people don't do this. A lot of people are your compulsive resume senders. I'm all about action. Action, action, action. You know, if you want something, go out and get it. There's no other way to do it in my eyes. So the first things we want to find out when interviewing someone for a position with us is, of course, do they know who we are and what they do? This is going to tell us a lot about the applicant. We want to qualify them. You know, do you have the motivation to work on commission only? Do you have a computer with an internet connection? Do you have a phone to make calls from? You willing to make numerous outbound calls? Can you handle rejection and easily stay motivated? Can you work full-time during regular business hours? Do you have basic computer skills, oral business communication skills, and all of all of the stuff that's in our checklist for qualification. We want to find these things out, and we want to control the interview process just like we control a sales interview when we're interviewing somebody. We do not want that potential salesperson to control the interview, because that's, if they're a good salesperson, that's what they're going to attempt to do. Another thing we want to do is make sure that they understand we are only looking for people that are going to stay on the phone. I mean, that's it. If they're going to be PTWs, which is what Reiner calls them. Rick, in case you don't know what that stands for, professional time wasters. That's a term coined by Mr. Reiner Davis himself.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of those.
And
they usually go to the back of the bus.
And rightfully so. It's where they belong. Now, I've added some new questions to our interview checklist. Okay, and these are, what can you tell me about our company? Rick, what can you tell me about our company?
We're a fast action agency collecting debt and nationwide. Let's think here. There's so much to tell you. We have really high yields. We're basically making a great impact on our clients. We're affecting their profitability. They're telling us how much they love our services and they love us. And really good at what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's something you're going to want to ask a potential applicant. What can you tell me about our company? And, you know, this is kind of piggybacking off of, do you know who we are and what we do? Something else we want to ask is, why do you feel you're the best person for this role? You also want to see how they react to things that are negative. So we want to ask them to share an experience when they lost a sale and what they learned from it. Why they think people buy from them. What they do to improve their sales skills. Their biggest weakness, biggest strength, greatest sales achievement, and what made it special. And, you know, what do you feel it takes to be successful in sales? And guys, I'm just reading these right off of the checklist. They're the same things you have, but it's good to hear them and to say them, you know. But for example, Reiner's up early in the morning, man. It's 7 a.m. his time. Well, 7:24 now. Reiner, what gets you out of bed and excited to start the day?
Well, every day I'm starting the day fresh. I mean, it's a new opportunity. So I get motivated by that.
Awesome.
I appreciate that.
And that's
I did.
that's the type of answer you want to hear when you're asking that question, you know. And I've got like 2 pages of them on there, and obviously we don't have to ask every one of them. We want to choose the ones that are correct for the applicant we're interviewing. That way we're not spending too much time on getting to know this new salesperson. There's also on the second page of questions, there's some scenarios that you're going to want to discuss as kind of a discussion question, which are, upon submitting your proposal to a client, they balk at the price. What is your resolution approach? That's something we need to know. Are they going to immediately break weak and start saying, oh, I can beat anybody's price because I'm a weak little pansy? That's what we don't want. There are other agencies that sell like this, and we'll hire this guy, so he needs to go there. You know, hey, go work for the jackasses that whore out their rates. You know, hey, there's a reason they do that. They offer a cheap service for a low price. Or another scenario is during a prospecting session, you encounter someone who immediately wants to know the price. If you give the price, you will lose because you're a high-priced provider. But you offer significant advantages over the competition. If you don't give the price, the prospect hangs up the phone frustrated. What do you do? And that's a good situation to see what a sales rep's going to do. It's a very good situation. And I think questions like that will assist us in getting more qualified people. Right now, we're seeing a pretty large influx of time wasters and people who don't want to pick up the phone. So we need to get something done about it.
Hey, I had a guy the other day I was talking to. I was interviewing him, and I said, "Do you think you can make 100 calls a day?" Well, 100 calls a day, you can't engage 100 people a day and expect to get any efficient calls out of that. And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, and if that's the case, I'm going to withdraw my resume right now." Okay, well, thank you very much. Now we know what you are, a PTW.
And this is an example of somebody who did not read the job description. Okay, we're going to get a lot of these. Okay?
Oh yeah.
And one of the things that we do to motivate our talent is we have these hangouts twice a week for our salespeople. A lot of companies are growing their virtual staffs. These days we have, social networking, webinars, Skype, things like that are allowing companies to make it easier for someone to telecommute. So this is in a part of every sales industry that is going to continue to grow. And telecommuting, man, is to me, it's the dream job if you have the motivation to do it. Working in an office is fun too,
unless you're the sales manager and you got to get that guy that's working remotely to pick up that phone. That's a tough challenge sometimes.
Exactly. And a lot of the team building that takes place with this type of thing is through virtual face-to-face meetings, like we're doing right now. So we've got to get the people into these hangouts. You know, the ones we do, of course, on Tuesday and Friday. And we want to get them participating. Something else I'm going to start doing on the ones that don't want to come in and participate or at least watch it. And yes, I get a list of who watched it. We're going to start terminating those people, because if they don't want to learn about their business, about our business model, we don't want to waste our time with them. Okay, because that's a time waster also. I know that it gets frustrating when people do this, but let's keep in mind, not many people can actually do this type of job, and the ones that you can get to make it, even if they're new at telecommuting, we want to get them motivated early. We want to get them to begin building momentum and developing habits. The most important thing for someone who sells on the telephone is to be on the telephone selling. What are you guys running into with time wasters, and what are some ideas you have to kind of overcome it, and what are some things that you've tried that haven't worked? We want to get these out in the open, and you know, maybe we can help each other out by sharing our experiences and figuring out some better things to do.
Well, obviously, in the interview process, as we're covering what it takes to be successful, these people tend to ignore what we try to give them a realistic approach, what it takes to be able to make sales relatively quick, and that's being on the phone, and you hire them, and you know, you hear, oh yeah, I'm willing to make the calls, no problem. I've done that in my previous job, and then they come on and they don't even pick up the phone, and here you are, a week and a half, 2 weeks into it, and you're going, sorry, I let you go, no production, you're gone, you're out of here. I mean, it's very frustrating because you're trying to hunt them down by phoning them or sending them an email. Many times they ignore the email, and I'm sure they ignore the phone, especially my landline, but it's hard to ignore my unlisted cell phone. Usually they'll answer that. And, you know, like one of the people on the that I just let go recently, he challenged me on my cell phone, Reiner, I'll outsell you for the month of July. And I said, a wise man wouldn't throw out challenges who hasn't picked up the phone yet. And he got the heck off quick. Oh, I got to go now, you know. I mean, stupidity. It's very frustrating. You know, we have better time than to hunt people down, and it takes away from our opportunity to be productive. But as I've told people now, that if you're not on the phone and you're not in contact with me after you receive your CRM, it tells me you're not interested in wanting to follow the program. I'm not going to tolerate that. You know, out of here. And I'm going to set up meetings of my own to meet with them online or in a conference call. And that's just got to be it. I can't be answering all their phone calls throughout the day because it ends up just taking away too much time. You spend 5 minutes here, you spend 20 minutes here. Next thing you know, it takes you a couple minutes to readjust, get your thinking cap on, to start calling. So you're robbed out of a good production of several hours throughout the day, even though you might have only fielded a half hour in phone calls.
Yeah, and I would say definitely you want to motivate your people, but you don't want to chase them down, man. If you got to chase them down, get rid of them. We don't want them.
Yeah.
Well, what I found is me and a guy got on Skype the other day and made about 10 calls, and I really showed him, I was telling him, hey, this is not easy. This is not for the average sales guy. This is for power closers. But we got on and made about 10 calls, and I got about 3 or 4 good conversations out of that, and basically interested him really well, and we have to get these guys interested and let them know, hey, I can do this. Because if they see you on the phone doing it yourself, you're not just saying, here, do as I say, not as I do. This is what I do every day. And so when they hear you talking on the phone and people are, engaging you, that's going to get them interested to get on the phone because they're thinking, well, I can do this myself, And if they're walking away not interested, then I feel like I've failed as an interviewer or a trainer or a coach, whatever you want to call it. So when they're getting excited about getting on the phone and they already know, hey, you have to make 100 calls a day, and I just showed the guy 10 calls. So if you do 10 times that amount, think of how much you're really getting done that day. They think, well, all these no's and no's and no's. Well, yeah, you have to go through them no's. The guy's seen me get a couple no's, but he's seen how I rebutted them, and just basically it was a good even match conversation. I kind of controlled the conversation. They were waiting for me to talk, and the guy visualized that, and pretty much he knows he can do it. Instead of just me saying, man, you got to make all these calls, you got to make all these calls. And basically, I showed him I'm making all these calls. So it's kind of a lead by example kind of deal. I think that was really helpful with him, and he's been coming back wanting more and more and more and more information. So he just getting them to that interested, level.
Yeah, and I like what you're doing there, and Ron or Rick makes a very valid point about your training taking you off of the phone. If you do it over Skype like he's talking about, or you could do it on a Google Hangout. You could set up a Google Hangout with however many people you have, and you can sit there and make calls. Let them listen. And this is something that's going to help them build momentum. First and foremost, for a salesperson to pick up the phone and sell something, they have to be sold on it. Rick was just talking about this. They absolutely have to be sold. If they are not sold on us, they can't sell it.
Right.
That's right.
And now, don't get me wrong, there are salespeople out there that are very successful at selling services or products that they don't believe in. But this isn't who we want to be, or necessarily who we want to have on our team. We want people who believe in our services, who believe in our company, people who realize that what we're doing here puts more money back into the U.S. economy than any other industry. That's serious. That is very serious. Imagine the jobs that are created by debts that are returned to clients. Imagine the additional research and development they can do for new products for their existing customers. Or imagine there are upgrades in efficiency that they can utilize those funds, let's say, for upgraded equipment, new workstations, better scalability. These
R&D.
Right. These are some of the things that clients are able to do with money that's returned to them that they would have normally just written off. So what we do is not only very important for the clients that we serve, but it's important for the economy as well. And
The economy needs all the help it can get.
yeah, it does. And if you look at a collection agency industry report, like a Barnes report or something like that, you'll see just what this industry does for this industry as well as for other industries. I mean, it is a very, very, very important part of the economy. So people who sell this, they should be excited about it, man. They're not only doing just a fantastic job for their clients, but this is improving the economy. This is improving the country we live in. I mean, wow. That's so strong, man. And that's
what I've been doing with new people? I've been creating a sense of pride with them, telling them the stories, some of the stuff that I've run into, so I tell them, hey, you can share these experiences with with your potential clients, because all the stories that, not really stories, they're true, but they can share them with them because they're going to build trust when they find out what we did for this client out here or another client in their industry. They're going to compare themselves to them, and it helps build trust with that salesperson when they're going in and just giving them, they're just talking and giving them examples of what they've done for other clients. And then that makes them think, well, what can they do for me? But when these new people get all these ideas, from what we've been doing with other clients, and we share it with them, it kind of builds up their attitude towards selling, and basically they can sell better once they're more confident in their services and everything.
Yeah, vignettes are very powerful. That's what those little stories are called, vignettes. And
Vignette.
Yeah, they're a true story related to selling.
Sure, it helps them build trust.
Absolutely, and confidence. I know one of the things that I just started implementing is telling potential new hires, I want you to think about what we discussed, and I'll call you back tomorrow with a yes or no, and I'll decide whether I can offer you an opportunity with Lyons and Associates. I don't want to just give them an opportunity immediately unless they're well deserving of it, because I'm one of those people. I gotta be an ex-Marine, and I gotta have some definiteness. I don't. People are wishy-washy. Doesn't do much for me. I,
You need a
I
definitive answer, right?
pardon me.
You need a definitive answer.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, I want to
Yes,
hear.
no, we don't accept
Yeah,
maybes.
yeah, that's right. Maybe don't pay the bills. You know.
Mm-mm.
And the fact is with this, our workplace is a fast-paced and challenging environment. Okay, this is, and it's also one that it is a complex job, but it's not a complex job. Okay, it's really pretty simple, but it has to do with action. You know, the skill requirements on this are simply the ability to sell and, you know, how to use a computer, you know, basic computer skills. But we have, I'm beginning to think that we're faced with a shrinking talent pool, and we're running into more me focused people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is making it increasingly difficult not only to attract but to motivate our talent. So I think what we need to do is come up with better ways of motivating. Maybe we can create an environment that our people who want to succeed can thrive in. Additionally, we want people who are committed to helping us succeed as a company. Okay, because we don't want to just be the company they work for. We want them to be proud to be with us. Okay, because we're in a position that's going to allow us actual domination in this industry. It's going to take 10 years. It is going to take 10 years. I fully anticipate that time frame. But looking at what we do and how we do it, and looking at the competition that's out there and what they do and how they do it, as we continue to grow, positions with us will become more attractive to top talent. At one point in time, M&M in the 80s and 90s was the go-to agency for commercial collections. Okay, they were one of the few agencies that was actually branded. Okay, and branding isn't something you do with an agency, but it's actually something that we're going to do as we go forward, because we want that brand. Nobody has that brand right now. Nobody really has the brand of being the best. And when I say the brand, I mean a brand that's known. Like, for example, you want some chicken McNuggets, you know where to get them. and yes, we have that brand right now, but we want it to be more known. So what we want to keep in mind is these newcomers are the key to the success of our business. Okay, this is something that their motivation doesn't just affect what they're doing and what you're doing, but their motivation affects our organizational objectives as well. So I think as we develop some new well, not necessarily new techniques, but maybe new to us as sales managers. You know, for example, what Rick was talking about, getting on Skype, or you know, you can get on a Google Hangout and make calls. You know, that's motivational for your people. It creates a camaraderie.
It piques their interest too.
Right, right.
'Cause
And
they go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you said it piques their interest, I was going to say absolutely. And satisfied sales reps lead to satisfied clients.
That's right. But they have to get it in their mind, I can do this. There's a lot of them think, they hear all them no's, oh, I can't do this. It's got to be them. It couldn't be me. It's got to be them. And that's the attitude we have to eliminate.
Yeah. You know, I was watching Grant Cardone yesterday. Man, I like that guy. He's a ball buster like me. That's probably why I like him. And he said something that reminded me of something that happened in my own life. He was talking about his wife and how many times it took him to get her to go out with him. And this is actually the second time I've watched that video on him. And guys, just so you know, I watch our videos. I watch other people's videos on sales. I am constantly looking for ways to improve the way I sell, the way I teach selling, and the way I manage the company. But anyway, what Grant was saying, it reminded me of when I used to play music on one of the clubs on Bourbon Street. Man, there was this bartender I wanted to go out with so bad. And it took me months to, and I won't say get a date with this girl, because we didn't actually go on a date. But it was persistence, you know, persistence, and you know, it was a nice relationship for a while. But you know, she was a bartender, I was a musician, and you know, it just it only worked out for so long. But it's a point of being aggressive. When you want something, you go after it. And that's how it's done. No matter what it is you want in life, if you want something, you absolutely have to go after it. Because if you don't go after it, it's not just going to fall in your lap. It's not going to say, hey, I'm here for your pleasure. Not going to happen. It might happen.
A little bit of luck.
But I don't want things that might happen. I want things that I make happen. And you know, I know that no matter what we do, we're still going to have a large influx of people that come through that just simply don't want to pick up the phone, because all we can do is create an environment that encourages and promotes self-motivation. And I think I think something to take from that is for us to understand that we can't motivate anyone. They have to motivate themselves. And we do that through leadership.
Right.
Because as we know, leadership, it's the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because they want to do it. And the challenge that we have is giving that person a reason to want to do it, because doing whatever we want them to do will satisfy a need that he or she has. So in a sense, we kind of have to tune into that other person's need and not just our own. And I think what Rick was pointing out about the getting on Skype is going to help him get some people into, you know, what they need to do, because instead of him saying, do what I say, he's saying, let me show you how to do it. Let me show you how easy that is. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. But on the other hand, yeah, it's pretty damn easy. You know, you pick up the phone, you dial it, you talk to the person on the other end, you find the decision maker, and man, that's hard at first. Look, I was 15 years old when I made my first sales call. I was selling coupon books. And I didn't make a whole lot of money. I got my behind handed to me. Handed to me. I mean, I got beat up and I made a few bucks, you know. And I mean, I was 15, man. I didn't need to buy much. I needed to buy a bag of weed and take my girlfriend to the movies, you know. That's what I had to do at 15. Yeah, at 15, I was the long-haired hippie type, man. My hair was, and I played guitar, and well, I still play guitar, but different days, different days. So,
Hey, I had a question for you, Mike.
okay.
With that interview checklist that you sent out, roughly with all those questions and everything we asked them, what's about the time frame we should be spending on each one of those calls? Because it looks like there's a ton of questions to ask them.
There are, and you really don't want to spend more than 10 minutes on an interview, on you know, unless it's really going somewhere. And you know, I've found myself spending an hour on an interview call before, you know, and that usually happens if I like the person I'm talking to or what. But realistically, you shouldn't do that. And you're a talker like me, Rick. So you're going to have to make a conscious decision to not spend too much time talking to people. Now, those questions.
Well, it just looks like I don't know if we could even get through all them questions in 10 minutes. I mean, there's a lot of them.
You can't. You also don't want to ask all of them. Those 2 pages of questions are example questions. Now, you want to ask some of them, and you want to. It's just like when you're selling a potential client. You don't want to throw all of your ammunition at them at one time. You want to use some of these questions, but not all of them. You want to base what you do off of the response you get.
So we're trying to sell them like we would a client.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's the same thing. And an interview is a sale also. And what happens in an interview is a sales manager is supposed to be selling you the job, and the salesperson is supposed to be selling you why he's
Themselves.
right. So there's two sales going on. For example, when I interview people, the first thing I do is try to talk them out of working for us, and I do that to see where they're at. And of course, I tell them, hey, look, I'm not trying to talk you out of this, but you know, one of the first things I say is, look, this is a straight commission gig. For most people, it takes them at least a month to start making money. For you to get to the six-figure income you're looking for, it's going to take you a full calendar year. So people don't usually get lucky in this. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes dedication. It takes a lot of phone calls. And look, I'm not trying to talk you out of working for us, but I like to do things with transparency. And that's absolutely true. I'm not trying to talk them out of working for us, but one, I do things with transparency. Two, I want to find out in the beginning of the call if that scares them or not. The fact of having to get on the phone and work and have to wait for deals to come through for commissions. That's hard to do. And not everybody understands how that process works. I do, because I've been doing it that way for years. You know, that's the kind of job I like. Look, I don't care if I'm eating ramen noodles and peanut butter and jelly right now. Where am I going to be in 5 years? That's how I look at stuff. I'm a future thinker, and a lot of the guys you're going to run into, remember, we live in an instant society, so that means everybody wants everything now. Got to have the sale now. But it doesn't work like that. There's no quick fix, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody said there's no free lunch. I remember hearing that somewhere. So
Yeah, I've been kind of doing what you're doing, not sugarcoating anything, and letting them know that the guys that are making $100,000 a year doing this, they had to do a tremendous amount of leg work, trench work, and they didn't get there overnight. And if once they realize that, that's going to make them a better fit for our company, because if they're coming in expecting instant results, they're going to be let down. So I'm kind of, letting them know, hey, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything with you. I'm going to tell you the honest to God's truth here.
right, and the thing is, some people actually think there's actual get-rich-quick jobs out there. Some people actually believe that, and I've interviewed some of them. To me, it's freaking hilarious. I'm like, really? You know, there was a point in time where you could go get a job at a stock brokerage and be making $20,000, $30,000 a month in 90 days. There was a point in time where that was possible, but those days are over with. You know, and one of the questions I have on that list is, if there were 2 available sales roles in our company, one of the roles has the primary responsibility of expanding the revenue relationship with our clients. The other role is pure business development, starting from scratch. Now, the first role pays more in the first 2 years, but the other role is much more lucrative in future years. Which role is of most interest to you, and of course, why? I think that Rodney's calling me, guys. Do you think I should answer that?
No.
Yeah, I already knew the answer.
Can't be on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're very late.
He's on there watching us, so maybe he'll get the back end of what we're talking about. But do we have any other? He must have thought somebody said 10 Central. So, do we have any other ideas? Any other?
Well, I'm going to implement what Rick suggested. Rick's got some good ideas, and he started in the trenches, and with some good coaching, and he's out there doing it. I mean, can't argue with success.
Rick's a freaking madman, and
I know he's bringing in business left and right.
And look, Rick, I hope I don't offend you when I say this, but when Rick came in, he wasn't any good at this, man. He knew a little bit about selling, but I have seen Rick do a complete 180. Man, it's hard to put into words how much improvement I've seen. And man, this guy, he just keeps putting it in, man. He doesn't stop. He just keeps going for it. He keeps going for it. And that's, you want to know what we're looking for? He's sitting right here, man. This is what we're looking for.
So in other words, you're saying Rick is about 220 times improved since.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what this is about. It's about improvement. It's about increasing a close ratio. It's about
maximizing efficiency.
Yes, absolutely. Maximizing efficiency is important, because if we spend too much time on BS, we've lost our day.
Yep.
Well, that's what I've been pushing on the new trainees is, that those chapters in there, that information is crucial. I said I wouldn't be at the level I'm on without reading that information and just keeping it churning, going back to the stuff, asking questions, getting answers, because that stuff has to be fresh in your head every day. You make them
time after time after time, As I always like to reiterate with people is, we're professionals just like doctors and lawyers. They have to go back and read their texts all the time as well to keep fresh, keep up with everything. What are you doing? Are you reading any books? I read books. I have a library, pretty extensive, probably about 10 grand invested in my library on sales training, motivation, leadership. I'm always looking at videos and everything, as we've discussed, new ways to just reinvent myself, I mean, hey, there's a lot of stuff that I know, but there's a lot of stuff that I forgot that I knew,
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's one of the important things that are going to separate the successful people from the unsuccessful people. There are those of us that want to learn and want to progress, and there are those of us who want it.
There's a lot of stuff that I know, but there's a lot of stuff that I forget. Not that I know. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's all right. So it looks like we had some instant playback there for a second. But Rodney, what's happening with you, man?
We've been experiencing technical difficulty here. I've been following you the whole time, but couldn't get in.
Okay. It looks like we had some instant playback there for a second.
Yeah. Morning, gentlemen.
But
What's up, Rodney?
Yeah, well, I agree with everything you were saying too. You had some good endpoint there.
Rodney, what's happening with you, man?
Well, I went in. Apparently, that fall I took when I broke my arm, it jarred. We've been experiencing technical difficulty here. I've been following you the whole time, but couldn't get in. Oh man, it's like double playing.
Okay, Rodney, I'm muting you, dude. You've got something going on. Leave your thing muted, man. All right. If you want to do playback on this, it'll be on our YouTube channel, man. So
we've been experiencing technical difficulty here. I've been following you.
Okay. So guys, you've got something going on. Leave your thing muted, man. Do playback on this, it'll be on our YouTube channel. So all right, guys. Okay. Rodney, keep that thing muted if you're playing it back over there, man. If I have to eject you, man, it'll block you from this. So we don't want to do that.
I'm not doing this. It's not me. Is it straight now?
If you play back on this, it'll be on our YouTube channel. So
I think you got it.
This is beautiful, man. This is beautiful. All right, guys, we've had our Sunday morning humor. Anybody else have any Sunday morning humor?
Okay, I think it's cleared up now. What it was doing as I was, when I originally tried to go in, it was still holding that original login, and then it was playing it from the time apparently I first came on. So nothing to do with me. It's just something that the Google system was doing. Is it clear now?
Yeah. Seems to be.
Yeah. All right. What I was explaining to you is that when I fell and broke my arm, apparently it knocked some shrapnel that's still in me loose, and it started working its way towards my RCA valve in my heart here, so I started having trouble. So they called me in there, and they did a MRI and a couple other things, and then Monday I'll get the results, but they're probably going to have to do a outpatient catheterization and go in there and snatch that little piece. It's a very, very tiny piece, but it's enough to cause a problem in your heart valve. So anyway, that's what looks like I'll be doing Monday. So just having a little fun.
Yeah, that sounds like fun, man. You know, I look forward to one day having to experience that myself.
Sure you do. Just go spend some time over in the Middle East and hang out at the... Oh, there we go. I got this other thing closed too.
All right.
I picked it up in 2001, and it just there's still pieces of it floating around in me. So They
Okay.
kind of aggravate me once in a while. Some of them come out of my back. I still got a piece buried here in my forehead. So here and there. Back to the future.
So we've already covered just about everything that we're going to cover, Rodney. So if if you want to go back and watch anything, it'll be on our YouTube channel.
I thought you were starting at 10 o'clock Central Time.
No, you didn't see the email that said 10 Eastern, and then I sent out another email confirmation after that that explained what 10 Eastern was for the different time zones.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't get that. Okay, here. Yeah, there it is. Okay. No, I was out of action most of the day yesterday, so yeah, I didn't get that. I understood we were going to be doing it 10 o'clock my time, so my apologies. There are some things I'd like to cover though, before we not hang out anymore, if that's possible.
Okay. Well,
Regarding when we're communicating with each other and everything, I appreciate Mr. Rainey sharing everything that's going on with him, but I would pretty much like to stick to business for my own emails and everything because I get pretty close to 150 to 200 a day. So when I start getting 10 or 12 extras from somebody and their photos and stuff, I mean, if we're going to do some interpersonal stuff, I'd rather do that on our own personal emails than on the our commercial sites, because for me, it's just I've got, with all these new recruits that we're bringing in and the communication I get for them, it's plenty. So yeah, I would appreciate if we're going to do stuff on a personal basis, we do it on our personal emails and not load up our commercial collection site with personal photos or expressions and everything, because it's just something that is a little extra to have to weed through. And if it's okay, we'll keep the personal stuff on a personal basis if we can do that. Would that be okay to suggest that, or?
Sure.
well, you
Yeah.
should. If you have an issue with somebody personally, Rodney, you should probably get a hold of them on a forum that's not meant for bringing up concerns about training new people, because this isn't the time or the place for it.
Well, I wasn't ever contacting on a personal basis. This was in the company forum, and that's why I was mentioning it while we were in this meeting. I thought if it's just us mentors, we can talk to each other. I've never even had a personal conversation with Rainier, so I just thought I'd bring it up now before we. I don't have his personal email, Mike, and he doesn't have mine, so I don't know how I would address it except through the company forum, because it's been coming through the company forum.
Okay, so address your problem then, Rodney. What type of email are you getting from Reiner that's bothering you?
I didn't say bother me. I just said it just uses up, all the personal ones about his friends and having dinner with them, and the photos and all the different emails regarding personal stuff that's going on.
Oh, that's on Google's Plus. I'm not sending that stuff out in emails. That's on Google's Plus. If you're on Google Plus, he'll send that to you automatically.
Okay. Google's Plus with Lyons and Associates.
Well, you friend Lyons and Associates, so it can go out to any person that friended Lyons and Associates. I don't send my personal business. I'm a very private kind of guy. But I just had a friend of mine, a very close friend, come out from Illinois for a week, and I posted a couple photos on there, and I wasn't aware. I got some people sent that back to me, and I'm going, whoa! I never sent it personally. I mean, it's a rare day that I'd send you my personal business.
Okay. Well, I don't understand how that's working, Mike, because I am not logged into Plus or whatever he's talking about. Only way it came to me is by the same avenue as when you send me the invites. to the Hangout, it's coming through there, and I got like 9 of them in one day, and it kind of loaded it all up. So when I logged in, there were 9 from Rainier, and I'm going, okay. You know, it didn't look like it was training or anything, so I had to weed through it because it's coming from Lions and Plus Associates. If there's a plus side to that, I didn't know what it was, and then I got a few more the next day and a few more the next day. So whatever you're sending out, it's coming through the Lions and Associates thing. And I'm not, maybe I'm not savvy enough about this, but I have the way I understand it works is that the inner circles that we have with our mentees, that's who we select, and they're all in the inner circle. And then when we come together as a group, but apparently, you know, all I could do is send you a screenshot if I had saved them. Mostly I deleted them, but it's just coming. Every time you send out something, apparently it's going to everybody in Lions and Associates. It's coming through. Go ahead.
I'm not getting them. What you may need to do, Rodney, is set your email settings in Google Plus. Okay? You need to go into your settings and tell it what you do and do not want to receive. If you do not want to receive certain things from Google Plus, you got to tell it. It's just like any other social media or any other online platform.
That's my lack of education. I don't do social medias at all. All right, I'll go in there and look at that. I just know it's coming through the Lions and Associates venue. That's the only one I have open. I don't do Twitter. I don't do YouTube. I don't do these social medias for a lot of reasons because they're hacked on a regular basis, and that information is made public, and I'm just not open to that, as you well know. So that's my.
You let me know. I wasn't aware, to be honest. I mean, the other day I got something bounced back, and I go, "Wow, what's this all about?" It must have been due to that. But Rick, have you seen anything on come through your end from me, other than what I personally sent you?
Rick, you muted.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just a couple of them. The one where your friend had a deer in his front yard, or an antelope, and just a couple others.
Oh, yeah, because I've never sent those out personally to anybody. I just posted them on Google's Plus because those
that's what it probably is. So what they do is they proliferate.
They're all in your circles. So whatever you send out is going to go to your people in your circles on Google Plus.
It's not what I'm selecting because I'm deselected on everything. I don't even understand why I'm receiving from Plus because it looks like I'm deselected on Plus too. I just do have inner circle friends, and these are all my mentees, but yet I was getting, there was a couple others I got from somebody else, and I just thought it was strange. So I just, you know, whatever, I'm not very smart about that, like I said, so that was my reason for bringing it up. Yeah.
Well, you know, Google provides a ton of support and help stuff for any of their products that you may utilize. So if you just Google whatever you want to do, they have a solution for it, and they'll tell you step by step how to prevent whatever from happening that you're looking to prevent from happening.
Well, you know, I'll just be black and white about this, Mike. I don't mind using Google. I kind of give you my views in the beginning about all this, but apparently, you know, for me to sit and spend my time to get educated on Google, the Hangout thing, I'm cool. I'm down with that. Us getting together, anything that increases our communication, but I'm not interested in spending all my time figuring out how to work Google in these areas where this social stuff is, because I'm really allergic to most of it, and I don't have much use for it. I would like to be able to communicate. Like Fuse, you don't have all this aggravation. You know, we have a direct hangout together. We can say who's going to be in that hangout, who's not, and it works a whole heck of a lot better than Google. I just got to tell you, I'm uncomfortable with all these extra emails and all these ads and stuff I'm getting now, which I wasn't getting before, because when you say I got to get there and select and deselect, I already had my Google program to where pretty much I didn't do much of anything in it, but it seems pretty intrusive to me that, you know, they're sending me ads now and everything, and You know, so I've got to go in there and retweak, I guess, this portion of Google now. But I think that's a little time consuming when we could use something that's also free and it's much more efficient, like Fuse. And I wanted to bring that up today too, because the Google thing, I've had problems getting in and getting out of that. And like today, the way the message sent, the only way I got in there was going into this message bar over here and selecting there. Before, I could just select your email from me from the personal email that you're sending it to, which is why I'm probably now receiving all these emails. Rainier wasn't intending to send them to me or anything, as I understand him. But the problem is that he sends them into the Google Plus thing, and then bang, somehow it found its way through our site and into my personal email, and that's where it's dropping them. It's not dropping them on the commercial collections. I'm looking now. It's dropping them into my personal email contact that I gave you so that we could hook up on this originally. So this is the kind of stuff I'd rather not deal with, because when you deal with Fuse and these other companies for video communications and hangouts and meetings, it's much more efficient, and it's you know, you don't have all this intrusive advertising stuff and everything that we get with Google. I'm not blaming you, Rainier, at all. I'm just, that's what happened.
Okay. And let me give you my position on this. First of all, the reason I chose Google Plus Hangouts is for the simple fact that it is very convenient. Secondly, this stuff can be automatically uploaded to our YouTube channel to be viewed without having to record it through any screen capturing or any type of rendering software. Okay, so that's one of the main purposes of doing them this way. And just so you know, Google owns YouTube. Whatever other avenue you were talking about, it's not going to do for us what this is doing. What I want this to do. Okay, so it's not even a possibility.
Oh, have you looked at Fuse? Because it does everything Google does with YouTube and all that. You don't have to retrofit anything. You can set it up. It's one of the largest systems used corporately, you know, for a few years now. And you end up without all the other stuff you deal with Google and a couple of the other search engines that provide these conference. Skype, for instance, has a lot of garbage with it too. But with Fuse, I think you have all the same. Well, you'll come to a point as a business though with Fuse where it begins to cost you money. So with Google, it's all free. I think that would probably be our main predicating factor for this company, is it is free. It doesn't cost us anything. So.
Well,
I'll go in and retrofit it. I'll figure it out. You know.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily about being free. It's about being convenient. It's about this being able to be used for what I need to use it for.
Sure, I understand.
That's the main thing. And I did look at other services. However, this is perfect for what I need.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to give you one that you've probably heard from a prospect or two. I'm satisfied with the service I have.
No problem. I just need to go in and retweak it. I'm just not. I don't do that kind of stuff, so I'm not real smart about it, Mike. I'll get in there and fix it.
Okay. Do we have anything that's related to interviews, related to management, or related to motivating your talent?
New checklists that you provided are pretty incisive. They pretty much cover all the ground that I was covering with them, so I thought that was pretty spot on what you provided. That's everything that I was doing already. So
Okay.
It looks like it's pretty complete. I won't have any problem following it.
Okay. And I use my New Orleans voodoo to read your mind, Rodney. So that's how we came up with all of that.
Must have been all those phone conversations we had. All right, I'm good to go.
All right. You may want to run back through this video here. You can get it on our YouTube channel. Usually it takes about a half hour to render after it's over with. Sometimes they go up immediately, but the longer ones, like this one, for instance, is going to be a little longer than usual. So it might take a couple of minutes to show up there, but it'll be up there. I'll stick it on a mentor check on a mentor playlist or something. That way.
Well, on your menu, was there anything in particular that you had observed that wasn't being accomplished on the interviews, or where something could be more productive on them? Or because on the list that I see you provided, it's pretty much black and white what we were doing already. So
Yeah, and we've already talked about all of that. So and anything I go over again is going to be redundant. Next time we do this, be on time, and you know you'll get it when it comes out.
not a worry. Have a nice day.
All right,
I'm getting the message you want to end it here, so
that is correct, sir.
we'll talk.
All right, gentlemen.
Okay.
Is there anything else from you two guys? Or
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
all right.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome, gentlemen. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay. Rick, have a good one.
Rick's muted. All right. Hey, Rick, I'm going to give you a call.